Now I want you to imagine that you're a young child. You're just punched in the face and thrown to the floor. Your whole body is in pain, and someone is yelling, "You're so stupid, you're worthless, you won't amount to anything." These hurtful words come from your father. And so do the bruises. In fact, your father comes home drunk often and takes his anger out on you, an 8-year-old child. This abuse happens to you on a regular basis. Now, coming back to the present reality, this is the life that millions of children are facing. These terrible abuses are going on all around us every single day in our own communities. Yet so many Americans are so uninformed and oblivious to the major crisis that is entrenched in American society. Based on my research of child abuse in America, I present to you information about its prevalence and effects. I have also interacted and cared for children that have been both abused and neglected. So I have seen firsthand the extent of this problem and how it is so harmful to so many children today. Numerous detrimental long-term effects of child abuse are a real problem in the lives of millions of individuals. During the following minutes, I will explain the negative long-lasting effects that child abuse may have on a child, whether the abuse is neglect, physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. These include the following. Child abuse affects a person physically, emotionally, and behaviorally. Child abuse can have a long-term effect to a person's physical well-being, first of all. The most dramatic effect is all too common, and that is death. According to childhelp.org, about 5 children die every single day in the United States because of child abuse. Over 75% of those are under 4 years old. These are just helpless little children whose crying or bad behavior may set their parents over the edge, resulting in their death. The line graph shows how death by child abuse has gradually increased over the years in the United States. Another physical problem is delayed growth or development. This can affect a child's brain development, which then goes on to hinder their cognitive abilities and social interactions. This next picture shows the brain of a normal development compared to the extreme neglect. As you can see, extreme neglect is a lot smaller. Next, permanent or even long-lasting injury is also an effect of child abuse. Yes, there are things like broken bones, bruises, and burns that take time to heal. However, there are some extensive injuries where ongoing treatment may be required. For instance, there was a child abuse case in Midland County, Texas, where I live just this year. A baby was taken to the hospital badly beaten with swelling and bruising to both of his eyes. There is no doubt that, especially to a baby at this age, this would cause great brain damage that will affect him long term. The second way that child abuse can affect someone is in their psychological and emotional well-being. First of all, lowered self-esteem is a major result that is most likely to happen in every single case of child abuse. If a child is continually told that they're stupid or worthless, or if they're being called degrading names, or if they're beaten, or if they're sexually abused, this is really going to take a toll on their self-esteem. Also, there is the increased probability of psychological disorders. A study was conducted of 21-year-olds, which found that 80% of those who were abused as a child had at least one psychological disorder. So this is a great majority of those abused as a child that end up having a psychological disorder. The psychological results also include things like memories and flashbacks and other issues related to traumatic events. I want you to imagine you're no longer that child, but now it's 20 or 30 years later after you have been abused. Now you're having flashbacks and memories of the abuse. You can still remember what the punches felt like or how hurtful the words were to you so many years ago. It is evident how damaging child abuse is to one's emotional security throughout their entire life. The last way that child abuse can really affect an individual is in their behaviors. These choices and actions include depression, which can result in suicide, and then committing crimes at a young age, having premarital sex at a young age, which can lead to STDs and the such, and also drug and alcohol use. These are activities that often young people engage in to escape the past pain that they feel. There's a statistic that says over 60% of people in drug rehabilitation centers report being abused or neglected as a child. This is a large percentage that shows the correlation between child abuse and drug or alcohol use. There's also a great chance, actually 1 in 3, that were abused will in turn abuse their own children. This continues the endless cycle of abuse in American society today. As is visible from the evidence given, a person's behavior is most likely to be affected greatly due to the early life experiences of child abuse or neglect. As you can see from the information given, child abuse has some terrible consequences on each and every child. Different people react in different ways, so some individuals have very little consequences while others may experience in every area, whether it be physically, psychologically, or in their behavior. However, overall, there are harmful outcomes regardless of the extent or type of the child abuse. Child abuse affects people physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and in other ways not covered in this speech. Child abuse occurs among the poor and the wealthy, in the church and outside the church, and among every racial group. This is not just the poverty-stricken neighborhoods that we may think, but it is in every situation. Child abuse is a national and ongoing heartbreaking tragedy.